I just woke up, been up for about 10 minutes, and I had a freaky dream and some other stuff. This is going to be the other stuff. I think it was stuff just kind of going, I don't even know how to explain this, but I had a freaky dream. It was extremely symbolic and just off the charts. And as I came out of the dream, I was laying there awake. I was asleep awake. I was coming out of it. I was remembering the dream. At the same time, this hit me. It's like another piece of the puzzle gets put together. I kind of got woke up out of the dream is what happened. It's like, I've mentioned this before. I'll tell my brain, I'll be having a conversation with somebody and I'll say, you remember that actor in that movie, what's her name? And you can't remember the name, right? And 3 days later, while I'm asleep and my brain is processing all that information, I remember the name. And it wakes me, my brain wakes me up and tells me that name. And I'm like, oh yeah, you woke me up. So that's kind of what happened. So I'm simultaneously trying to hang on to these images in this dream. And I'm going to do this at the end of the video. But this part I need to get out now because it's fleeting information in my head. But the dream is solid. So actually I'm going to reverse it because the dream came first and then this information interrupted it. I've done the pillars and the paths, Freemasonry and Kabbalah. There's something wrong with my... Hold on. Kind of not sure what's going on. Can I write? Let's try. Okay. I'm going to do the 3 paths of Freemasonry and Kabbalah over here. Of course, the Sun Pillar, which is the path of severity in Kabbalah. The Moon Pillar, which is the path of mercy. And then in Kabbalah, these two are one. And the ladder in Freemasonry, and then the checkerboard floor down here that represent fire, water, air, and earth. And I've done the video where I put all the constellations on them. Jupiter in Sagittarius at the bottom of the solar pillar. Leo in the middle of the solar pillar. And Aries at the top. The moon over here in Cancer at the top, that's Mars. The sun and Jupiter. And this is going to be the moon at the top in Cancer. Mars here in Scorpio. And Jupiter here in Pisces. So, and we are here. This is where we are. We're in Pisces. But we're moving to Aquarius, which is here in the middle of the ladder. And that's Aquarius. At the bottom of the ladder is Gemini. And at the top of the, with Mercury. And at the top of the ladder is Libra with Venus. At the door of the temple or lodge is Gemini with Mercury here. At the altar is Taurus with Venus here. And Capricorn at the top with Saturn here. So, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun and the Moon rule the Sun and the Moon. Now, Freemasonry comes from Taurus. At least, its root was there. It's different now. In the Bible, they tell you that Joseph, The father of Jesus was a carpenter. There's no freaking wood in the desert. That word is builder. And we would translate it today, stonemason. So it's an ancient thing. It's been so changed today. But it comes from Taurus, where Kabbalah is more of an Aries age of interpretation of the same material. And now we're in Pisces, and they've really just bibbled us over. And it's kept in this age hidden from us. All these secret societies and lodges, but mostly it's ruled by religion. All religions are under Jupiter here in this age. Jupiter rules religion in Pisces in this age. We recognize it as Leviathan, or that big monster fish, the Kraken from the Greek, that is below Taurus, Aries, and Pisces. Now, in the next stage is the age of man. It is Aquarius. Its symbol is a man. So I'm going to take this opportunity to put the symbols where they go on the human body. The first thing we have to do, can I make this? No, it's as big as it's getting. My thing's just in the way up here. There we go. We're going to cut the body in half. And he's looking at us. I'm going to put some eyes here so the person is facing us. That makes this his right, and that's masculine. And this is the left, that's feminine. When you look at the chakra system, Mars rules the root chakra. They put it here. Jupiter rules the belly button. They put it here. And then I'm going to draw a line. And the sun would rule the masculine side. And the moon would rule the feminine side in the solar plexus. So you have Mars, Jupiter, the sun, and the moon. And they are all in what we call the underworld. In the underworld, Jupiter and Mars and Jupiter rule. They rule fire and water. They rule desire, religion, empire. I'll just go through the constellations, and that'll help identify more what they rule. I'm going to put the constellations on the human body. Then we have the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and the crown chakra. That's Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. Now, Venus up top, all three of these rule air, which is masculine, and earth, which is feminine. On the bottom in the feminine is water. On the left. And on the bottom is fire. Remember, there are 3 airs, 3 earth, 3 water, 3 fire. So if you divide the body, that makes this right here masculine and fire. And that's Mars in Aries. So in the previous ages, Mars rules the top of the fire pillar, the top of the solar pillar. He's cardinal fire. And it is the male phallic. That is its symbol. Mars rules Scorpio with water in the feminine. I might have to erase this and start over. And it's fixed water. So the water, fixed feminine for the womb, and the fire phallic for the phallic, Aries and Scorpio. Jupiter rules mutable water, Pisces, and Sagittarius. The Sun rules Leo and Cancer for the Moon. Okay, and these are the bottom. All of this right here represents the two pillars. Leo is in the middle over here, the Sun. Sagittarius is at the bottom, and Aries is at the top. So, in the man, the Sun is at the top. Sagittarius is in the middle, and cardinal fire is at the bottom. Cancer, the Moon, Cancer's at the top, Pisces in the middle, and Scorpio's at the bottom. Now, I'm going to erase this so I can do the top. Yes, this is how I do. Okay, we're going to draw our line. Masculine. I hate that. Feminine. And the heart chakra up here. No, I don't want to do that. Let's do it this way. The heart chakra is divided on this side, masculine, with Libra. On this side, feminine, it is Taurus. Remember, this is the altar on Earth, and this is Libra, is the top of the ladder. This is the top of the ladder, is the heart. Venus, the heart chakra, is divided between heaven and earth. Some people's, our heart chakras can land anywhere in our natal chart. But these are where they belong. The throat chakra is Mercury. In the masculine, he's Gemini. And in the feminine, he is Virgo. Earth. In heaven, he's Gemini, and in Virgo, he's Earth. And then the crown chakra, Saturn, is divided between Aquarius on this side and Capricorn on this side. Fixed air and cardinal earth. Both of these, both sides, represent the middle path in Kabbalah and the checkerboard floor. This is the checkerboard floor, and this is the ladder. Your right leg is the solar pillar, and your left leg is the lunar pillar. Did you see all that? Did you see everything, how it changes? And now, who rules who? Who's where? I hope that helped make sense, and it'll help you in your chakras. Now, something else too, about the spiral. When when I opened my third eye and I danced, at the time I wasn't aware it was my higher self. I recognized it, but I didn't aware what it was. It reminds me of in John, in the Nag Hammadi, the secret teachings of John, where he said, "And I saw stand before me a child, and then an old man, and then a woman," and the image said, "Don't you recognize me?" And because John was looking at John. He was looking at all the different faces of John. The child, the adult, the masculine, the feminine. And yeah, it's ourselves. So, but when I met my higher self, we danced. And we danced in this direction. It's what I call going to the right. But then it occurred to me that here, when you go below the equator, it goes the other way. So I want to rectify that confusion, and you understand this when you look at the way hurricanes and typhoons are different, and from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and the difference between the indigenous spirals of the Aboriginals of Australia and the Native Americans of North America. Their spirals, one goes one way and one goes the other. Like the swastika is really an ancient symbol from India. And a great part of India is below the equator. So when Hitler hijacked it, he flipped it. He flipped that symbol. And he flipped the colors as well. Yeah, all the wars, it's all a symbolic war. All of our wars are very symbolic as well. Now, I want to talk about the Zodiac for just a minute. The word Golgotha means the place of the skull. The symbol of the skull and bones is the skull is the zodiac, and the crossbones that make an X, that's the mutable age. That's the symbol of the age we're in. And they tell you this is death. It's not. That's not a symbol of death. But for the masses, it is. It makes you think it's wicked. It makes you stay away from it. But Golgotha means the place of the skull. And in alchemy, and when you look up in the heavens and you see the Milky Way, let me go find a picture for you. I just decided to use Stellarium. The Milky Way, it's considered the division between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain. The winter solstice and the summer solstice represent the same thing. How do I say this? Because those signs move. The Milky Way stays there. The constellation stays there. But the balances of the spring and fall equinox and the winter and the summer solstice, they rotate through the constellations. And we're actually at a time now where we're moving into where the winter and the summer solstices have been in alignment with this natural hemisphere. I don't even know how to say it. Let me see if I can back this up. Let's throw up some images so we can see here. You'll see what I'm talking about. Right now, let's put it on, I don't have all of my screen there. Let's put it on the winter solstice. And the sun is in the Milky Way galaxy. It moves, just like it does in the spring. It moves. So we're at a unique time. And as the sun moves in, right now, the winter solstice, the sun is in Sagittarius. But it's on that line. It's going to move into Scorpio. Just like right now, that was our winter solstice. This is our summer solstice, and it's in Gemini. And it's going to move into Taurus. Right now, depending on the year, this year it's in Gemini. Last year it was in Gemini. This year it's in Gemini. No, did I move a year? Next year, Taurus. So we're in that 72-year period where we're between ages. We're in that 1 degree that lies in the middle. Now, that's the markers in the heaven, but the eastern markers are off. Funny how the sun looks more yellow here. Why is it so small? The spring, 3 here, but Aquarius is over here, another 10 degrees. We don't enter Aquarius, it comes in on a 311, which is exactly opposite of 911. The same thing is happening in the fall equinox. There's a 10-degree discrepancy between the spring and the fall equinox as compared to the winter and the summer solstice. And this, when you look in the heavens, it's the cosmic mind. It's the cosmic mind. It's us. We're the stars and we're projecting down here. Your stars, every one of us have energies from these stars, planets, or chakras, if you will. With the sun being the masculine bright eye and the moon being the left feminine eye in some alchemical traditions. So to me, my understanding is Earth is the pineal gland. And that's why you get all the Saturn symbolism to that. And we're moving into that age. But our brains are quadrants. It's not only divided, our brains are not only divided down the middle, we have a frontal lobe and the spinal cortex in the back that holds. We have 4 different parts of our brain. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta quadrants is how some translations do it from the Greek. So we're in this cosmic mind, and we're moving into heaven on earth. We're moving into air. We're moving into 2 ages ruled by Saturn at the very top. And we've been in mercy and grace, but we've been at the bottom of the lunar pillar. Now, I want to stop here and tell you about the dream. I was in a house that I used to live in 17 years ago. And I was in the kitchen at the house. It would be the house at the current time because other people were living there. but I seemed to know them. And they were all adults, no children. Well, when in the kitchen, I was standing at the window, and anyway, this is here in Oklahoma. It's a house I used to live in here when I lived here a long time ago in Buffalo Valley. And it was a big ranch house, and I had 150 acres, but the house was built like 50, 75 feet from a creek that also doubled as a property line. There was a fence on it when I lived there, but in the dream, there's no fence on the creek. And when I lived there, it only had water in it a certain time of the year. But during the summer and going into the fall, there was no water in it. But during the rainy season, all the water would gather into the creek, and it would be about waist deep. So in my dream, I'm standing at the window, and I'm looking out at the creek. And there's a bunch of people in the living room. I'm in the kitchen by myself. And when I look out, I see this freaking huge crocodile in the creek. And to my knowledge, there's no crocodile or alligator anywhere near this part of Oklahoma. I mean, the closest that we would have them would be Louisiana down in the swamps, right? This is not alligator or crocodile territory. And I say crocodile because there's a difference between the two. And what I saw was indeed a crocodile. And a crocodile is right up here in the Egyptian. It would be part of what we would call the Ophiuchus, the upper house, part of Scorpio constellation, the upper house of Scorpio. It's a crocodile. Now, it's considered to be, the crocodile in Egyptian is considered to be Sebek. But Sebek rules these two stars right here, which are Castor and Pollux and Gemini. So anyway, I see this crocodile. And it is massive. It's the biggest crocodile I've ever seen in my life. Like even in TV, this was just massively big. At first, I thought it was just a log in the creek. And the creek was full. And then when I seen his head come up out, what I was looking at, no, that's a crocodile. So I go into the living room to tell everybody, hey, come see this crocodile. Well, from the kitchen to the living room, the water's flowing in that way. And that's the way the crocodile was headed. So we all walked over to this big glass picture window to look out the window to see the crocodile coming, swimming up the creek. But that's not what we saw. What we saw was incredible. There were two smaller alligators, not crocodiles this time, but two much smaller alligators in the water. And one was coming up out of the water trying to grab a dead dog on the side of the two alligators, the pair of stars, trying to drag a dead dog that was on the bank into the water. And there were 3 people there. There were 2 men and a woman. And the 2 men were holding back, I messed that up, the 2 men were holding back a ram. They had him by the horns. So we've got the Castor and Pollux stars of the 2 alligators, not crocodiles, and 2 dudes that one is straddling the ram, and it's a short ram. It's almost short as a dog, but it had these massive horns on it that were like a full-grown male. and one guy's straddling him like he's trying to ride him, and he's got a hold to one horn, and the other man's got a hold to the other horn. And there's a German shepherd that's barking his ass off that's behind the ram. It's like the ram is trying to run at the alligators, but the two men are holding him back, and there's a German shepherd that wants in on the action. Gemini also is part of the two dogs, Procyon and Sirius. So Procyon is dead, and the alligator's trying to drag him into the water. And the bigger dog, the German shepherd, is being held back by the woman. She's got him by the tail. And this dog's digging in the ground trying to get at these alligators that's coming up to drag this dog down into the water. Never did see the alligator. The crocodile. The crocodile that was downstream just seemed to never come. I guess he stopped to watch the show too. I don't know what to say. But it was like two different things going on, from the window in the kitchen to the window in the living room. But the people outside, the woman was screaming. The men were hollering. She was telling the dog to stop. And the two men were hollering like, I can't hold him, I can't hold him. It was taking everything these two grown men had to hold a ram with big horns that wasn't the size of a dog. But that is a massively crazy dream, and everything that's in it can literally be represented in the heavens. And I don't know what to make of it. If any of you have had a dream like this, I understand the symbolism, but what does it mean? What does it mean? I don't have any idea. And I really hadn't stopped and pondered it, because when I woke up, I had the other information telling me you need to do the constellations on the body. Did I finish that? Let's do that. Let's finish the constellations. Again, you have Aquarius at the top on one side with Saturn, and Capricorn at the top on the other side. Here you have Gemini and Virgo. And at the heart chakra you have Libra and Taurus. Then you have Leo for the sun and Cancer for the moon. Then you have Jupiter as Sagittarius, and then Jupiter as Pisces. Then you have Mars as Aries, and Mars as Scorpio. And I know a lot of you are going to come to me and tell me that, and even I admit it, I've done the videos in alchemical astrology. You have Aquarius at the knee. Capricorn is the knees, and Aquarius is the shins. Pisces is the feet. So you have Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn coming up the legs. But, and I don't know where that comes from. But as far as the constellations go, based on the chakra system and who rules what, and this is the way they go. And, again, they say the Golgotha, the place of the skull represents the cosmic mind. When we look at the heavens, we're looking at the brain. The universe is a brain, and we're inside. That's why it's dark, right? It's dark in your brain. I remember coming into the body through the right eye, and it was like being in a damn cave. I landed in the back left part of the brain, and I felt like I was in a cave. So I get the allegory of the cave. I get it. And I get how everything here is just shadows. Aquarius is about the pineal gland, But the upper house of Aquarius is about Pegasus. When in the Bible, Jesus told the disciples to prepare for the Passover and to go into the city. And when you see the man carrying a pitcher of water, follow him into the house in which he goes, and I will meet you there in the upper room. So the upper room of Aquarius is Pegasus, which talks about the hippocampus and your memory. I will meet you in your memory. It's like John, the image that spoke to John said, don't you recognize me? Don't you remember me? To recognize someone is to remember them. It's the same thing. A lot of times somebody will say something and it's knowledge we've never heard before, but we recognize that knowledge. We immediately resonate with it. What's happening to us is we're remembering. Aquarius' motto is I know. I prefer I remember, because this is stuff we've all forgotten. When you do some techniques or hermetics teach that to open the pineal gland you have to cross from the left brain to the right brain. You have to cross over, right? That Milky Way cross over. Well, again, the head itself, Mercury is the throat chakra, but the head itself, Mercury is the throat chakra, but the head itself is Saturn. So Saturn gets this symbol of the Grim Reaper. It's the place of the skull. It's the place of the crown. Well, we actually have a triple crown because we've got Venus, Mercury, and Saturn that rule heaven and earth. They each play a part. In heaven, they're masculine. On earth, they're feminine. Think about what I just said. Because the science talks about our brain that way. You have the masculine right side and the feminine left side. But it's funny that, like our eyes, our bodies, our left brain controls our right side of our body, and our right brain controls our left side of the body. We're in a feminine age being controlled by a masculine patriarch. But when you do the man, it's different. You see it differently than you do in the three crosses, or the three pillars, or the three paths, or the three sticks. You have the underworld, Jupiter and Mars. You have the middle world, the sun and the moon, and the upper world, Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. To me, it's electrical. Let's put our little solar plexus here. The sun and the moon. And they're like power points. It's like a battery. And here, you only got 2 chakras. So when you plug in, it's a 110. Okay, I don't know how this works in the UK and other countries. I'm speaking in electrical terminology for North America. And then at the top, you've got 3. So when you plug in to the power source or the battery, you have a 220. Whoops. 220. So there's more power here than there is down here. But right now, for 2 ages, for 4,320 years, this has been in control. We're not going there anymore. We're going to move to this. And I think they're going to be side by side myself. Like that. And that's why we're shown a symbol for Aquarius like that. You know, they try to feminize it, but the ancient symbols, it's always been masculine. They do it feminine like this. Make it curvy. more like a wave, but it's like this. Heaven on earth. Great symbols. Ones we need, not the ones we have. This down here ain't gonna get it. These two control the flesh, the physical world, reproduction, empire, lust, desire. And they can invoke the heart. The heart can get tied right up down here with them. So all of them can. All of them get tied up right down here. If you think down here, these are what I call lower chakra, and these are upper chakras. Underworld, upper worlds. All right. I think I covered what I wanted to cover, especially about symbolism and why they use symbols like the skull and crossbones. If you had a skull and the bones were like this, that would represent the fixed cross. The skull with the X bones represents the Zodiac. And do you know that's why the pirates used it? So you have a skull, which represents the Zodiac, and you have the crossbones for the mutable age, for this age of Pisces. And if that ain't symbol for navigation, I don't know what is. Because that's what they had to have. They needed to know where they were at. We're in the age of Pisces. Pisces is going to rise in the spring equinox, and that's going to tell us where the stars are in the big head in the sky. We're inside the big head. I think we're inside the pineal gland, or the hippocampus. The earth is one of the two. It's up here. Earth, this side is air, this side is earth. Part of the head is air and part is earth. I think it's a good thing to be called an airhead. It's going to be a whole new meaning. It's not just going to be, it's going to be, we're moving into the age of air, and we're going to have air. Then we're going to have air. I'm terrible with this thing. So, you need to look at these symbols in the way what they're actually meant for, not what the television and even things like Kabbalah and Freemasonry would tell us that they are. Look at what alchemy has to say. Alchemy's fixed. Like, do you know how old the alchemical table of elements is? It's a lot older than the periodic table of elements. The periodic table of elements was given to the masses, the plebs, as a substitution, because they don't want us to know those signs and symbols that go with the other. Do I even have a copy of that? All of the elements either fall under the category of earth, water, air, and fire. They also, which is a cross. Every cross has one earth, one air, one water, and one fire. And they fall in the three states of matter, which are liquid, solid, and gas, are in astrology fixed, mutable, cardinal, and all their symbols. But they gave us something completely different. But that information is very useful as well. All your noble gases are air signs. All your stable materials, you like I said, solid, liquid, solid, and gaseous. Those are also your three crosses. Your gases are cardinal. Your liquids are mutable, and your solids are fixed. Again, the gas, you have the noble gases. Let's go get the other one. Now, these periodic table of elements, they are different colors to help teach you in different ways. It's all the same thing, but it can be presented in simplistic ways or much more detail, just like our zodiacs. Every culture around the world, their zodiac is a little different. Their creation story is a little different. But when you strip away all the hoopla, the same thing they all have in common are the three, everything comes in threes, and the three crosses and the four elements. And together they make seven, right? The seven. But these have a lot more information, especially when using encoding today, because one, they've numbered them. So if you really want to understand the numbers they fling around, you need to come here. You really want to understand a lot of the symbolism that's being used that you don't get, you need to come here, because this is the same as the alchemical table of elements. So you can take the symbol for hydrogen and put it right over hydrogen. And now you have this symbol that goes with this number, that goes with these letters, that goes with this element, and we'll know where they belong on the zodiac. Maybe that's my next project, is to take the periodic table of element and put each one where it belongs in the zodiac. And then we can translate that right to the human body. Can we not? As above, so below. As without, so within. So, I'm still convinced the earth is the pineal gland. But in a way, it almost feels like the hippocampus, because, right, we've done all this before. It's like remembering. It's like when you have an out-of-body experience or near death and you do that life review. So much detail comes out. More detail comes out in the life review than what you actually paid attention to while you were actually living it. Every little nuance stood out. Every little detail. It was so profound to me. And then again, like deja vu. It's like we've already done this. We just need to remember. So, I don't know a lot about the hippocampus and remembering, and I know that we have a lot more people with Alzheimer's and dementia than we've ever had. My grandma was sharp as a tack and lived to be very, very old. But today's older people, and even younger ones, I even know younger people that are my age, there's no way they should have dementia and Alzheimer's, but it's happening. And it attacks the hippocampus. It attacks your memory. And so I think we've been ignoring that part of what we need to be looking at as well. Memory is extremely important. But when that pineal gland pops and you do that life review, or you die and a pineal gland pops and you do that life review, that's activation of the hippocampus in the brain, which is represented by the constellation of Pegasus, which is the upper house of Aquarius, and it's represented by the alchemical symbol. The hippocampus translates from the Greek to seahorse. It's a seahorse. So good symbolism to invoke for good memory. Got parents with Alzheimer, dementia, buy them a seahorse necklace or something. A hat with a seahorse on it, a shirt with a seahorse on it, and evoke that symbolism. That's part of the subconscious, is going to work in symbolism. And if they can manipulate us subconsciously, then we can manipulate us subconsciously. Something else that came to my mind. Hold on, let's just go there. I've been thinking about, you remember I have this problem where they have flipped the rainbow. When we use it down here, purple must be on top. Everything in the heavens is mirrored on the earth. So when we put red on top that represents Mars, you're evoking the root chakra, which is reproduction, lust, sexuality, rage, war, all of that. It's all about gender, and it makes everybody think with their lower chakras. Remember, that symbol is a phallic. It's the masculine, it's cardinal fire. Its symbol is a phallic for the constellation of Aries. But it occurred to me that maybe it should be like this. It should, because we see it from ground to ground, but we picture it in the heavens. But shouldn't we just turn it perpendicular, like sideways, with the purple on the outside and the red on the inside? Mirror it, but up and down, to bring balance into our physical world. Right? I'm practicing that. I turned my rainbow to go up and down instead of left to right with purple on top. That way all the colors are even across the top. They're evenly. Because when I do understand that when we come into Aquarius and we're ruled by, right now we're ruled right down here, Pisces, right down here. But we're going to be ruled up here in Aquarius, which is the skull. So the Zodiac, Aquarius, the crown chakra. So, and it's all of the chakras currently are being ruled by Jupiter. All of them are ruled by Jupiter. We're living in an age of desire. We're living in an age of religion and an age of expansion, an age of empire. We're going to an age of contraction, not expansion. An age of no empire. It's going to be so different than it is here. But I think if we turn it completely the other way, we're just moving from one pillar to the other. And to stop moving from one pillar to the other, we need, in this duality, we need to turn the rainbow where all the colors, purple, blue, yellow, orange, and red are in that order, and they're all equal, because that's what happens. Right now, again, we're ruled by desire down here, but we're going to be ruled by our higher selves up here, and all of our chakras are going to come under control of the higher self. They're going to come under control of the crown chakra. Right now, they're under the control of, let's use the symbolism here, Jupiter and Mercury, Mars and Libra. That's what's controlling everything here. It's superimposed over everything. And it's all root chakra except for this little bottom down here, which is Libra, which would be the masculine part of the heart chakra. But we have Mars and Jupiter ruling fire in this age. We have a double dose of fire in this age because of this symbolism. When we need symbolisms of Saturn that they have demonized to no end. And the symbolism, like the skull and the crossbones, the pirate symbol, that's not a symbol of robbery. Well, they have robbed us, but it's a symbol of navigation, the Zodiac and the mutable age. All right, I think I've covered what I want to cover. If anybody's got anything to add to it, I need to go make some coffee.